Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a Spanish psychological thriller film called The Chalk Line. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The movie starts with Simon and Paula, a couple in their 40s, driving on a dimly lit road. There are police cars everywhere, conducting random searches. Shortly after, the couple continues their journey until they come across a strange figure. On a better look, it is revealed to be a little girl, probably the one the police are looking for. She is strangely walking through the middle of the road. The couple gets out of their car and calls to her, but the little girl does not respond. Around the same time, a motorcycle speedily approaches from the opposite direction. But instead of running away, the girl dangerously runs towards it. As a result, the motorcycle ends up crashing, and the girl is also knocked out. Witnessing this, Simon and Paula immediately take the child to a hospital and get her admitted. The police also get involved as they try to match the girl's identity with any of the missing children's reports. However, nothing conclusive comes up. After a while, the couple returns home to freshen up, and Paula is seen injecting herself with something in the bathroom. We learn that this is a secret since she quietly hides away the syringe box behind the bathroom mirror. As long as the mysterious girl's parents are not found, Paula and Simon visit the girl in the hospital every day. The doctor explains that the girl didn't get knocked out because of the crash. In fact, she was already sick. Her kidneys have been damaged to the point that they hardly work. Since her arrival, the little girl hasn't uttered a single word, but she reacted strongly when a nurse by the name of Clara was called. The doctors then concluded that her name is also Clara. With treatment at the hospital, she does recover physically, but her mental state confuses everyone around her. During one visit, Paula and Simon head inside where Clara is kept, and we see her acting hysterically. The mystery around her becomes even denser when the couple sees that the girl has drawn a box with chalk around herself and refuses to get out of it. She screams and fights the hospital officials as they try to remove her from the box. Paula watches this and tries to pacify Clara. Surprisingly, she succeeds, and the two instantly form a connection. Later, the couple returns home, but they cannot stop thinking about the poor child, especially Paula. She always sees Clara when she closes her eyes. The next day, when they visit the hospital, the doctor informs them that Clara keeps breaking down when she is moved outside of her chalk line. The doctor remains concerned about the mental growth and health of such a young child. Hence, she determines that the hospital is not the safest or best place for Clara to stay temporarily. As of now, Paula has already established a close relationship with the girl, since she is able to comfort and calm her down when she gets aggressive. So, the hospital officials decide that Paula and her husband could provide a good home environment where they could gain Clara's trust, make her open up, and find out about her identity. After bringing Clara home, the couple both try their best to make the girl feel safe, but the very first thing that strikes out about her is that she keeps herself restricted within a square or circle on the floor, drawn with chalk. Clara does not ever move outside of the boundary that is drawn around her, and is extremely scared to even try to do so. I've heard of the floor is lava, but never the floor is hopscotch. To cope with this, Paula shows Clara how the lines of chalk can be rubbed, and a new line can be made. Additionally, the couple clears their floor space as much as possible, and draws lines or pathways all over the house, so that young Clara gets used to moving freely inside. One day, Gloria, the hospital psychologist, visits the house and tries to make Clara talk. She forcefully gets the mysterious girl out of the chalk line. In response to this, Clara begins acting up hysterically and becomes aggressive. During all this, the psychologist manages to record some words spluttered by Clara. This reveals that the mysterious girl isn't mute, but is just refusing to talk. Paula finds out about this and immediately draws a chalk line to confine Clara. The latter is moved by the gesture, and she hugs Paula warmly. As time passes on, Clara gradually lets the couple get close to her, and even starts growing affection towards Paula. She makes small paper ornaments for her foster mom. However, one day, a strange incident occurs when a pregnant neighbor visits them. Paula serves bread and jam to the neighbor, who munches through the food until she starts to bleed from her mouth. After a while, she coughs and manages to spit out a big shard of glass that was in the food. The neighbor is rushed to the hospital, and when Simon later investigates the matter, he finds that the container in which they kept the jam is filled with several other glass shards. Taken aback, Simon puts two and two together, concluding that it's the doing of their new guest, Clara. But Paula refuses to entertain that thought. thought. Besides, this means we can sue the pants off that jam company. Just then, Gloria, the psychologist, visits them to discuss her new findings. She plays Clara's recordings, and it becomes clear that the little girl actually speaks German. She then asserts that Clara isn't speaking because everyone around her has been using only Spanish. While the police start to look into missing children's cases in Germany, the doctors use German colleagues to communicate with Clara. She appears to understand everything, but still remains extremely shy and introverted. It is evident that she is haunted by something brutal that happened in her past. As days pass by, Paula keeps trying to communicate with Clara, but to no avail. In one instance, she even gets hurt when Clara angrily kicks her away. Simon gets a hint of this, and he is absolutely enraged that the little girl is turning out to be such an evil child. Hence, he has started disliking Clara and wants to give her back to the hospital. One morning, Paula is having a drink when she also gets a glass shard stuck in her neck. Clara sees her struggle but does nothing about it. While Paula goes to the washroom to get it out of her throat, Clara mysteriously disappears from the house. Paula is absolutely convinced that the girl has been kidnapped because Clara would never go beyond the chalk-marked boundaries. However, Simon and the neighbors believe that the evil girl has run away. Later, the police inform the couple that they found Clara's jacket in a swamp. However, apart from that, there have been no other leads. Paula is worried that her little girl might be in danger, so she insists that the police speed up the investigation. Once they are alone at home, Simon confronts his wife. He doesn't want to keep Clara anymore, even if she is found. However, Paula has already connected with the child emotionally, so she wants otherwise. They get into a brief argument revealing more about their past. We learn that the couple had been trying to become parents for 6 years now and had sought the help of fertility treatments, but to no avail. Presently, they have decided to stop the treatment and take some time off the pressure, but Paula has been secretly continuing it. Turns out that the injections she was hiding in the washroom were the shots for the treatment. We also learn that Simon had found out about this, but he chose not to say anything. Following their argument, Simon storms out of the house. After a while, Paula receives a call on her landline and hears Clara calling her Mama. Elated, she quickly informs the police about this number. However, when the couple reaches the station, the police reveal that the phone call had been made to Paula's home phone from her very own mobile phone. This convinces the police and Simon that something must be wrong with Paula's mental state, so they suggest she see a psychologist. While Paula is forced into taking a psychological test, she knows there's more to the case and decides to start an investigation of her own. The officer then shows the couple 2 case files, which the authorities were going through in order to find any trace of Clara. Before heading out, Paula cleverly takes the files with her. Sitting in a nearby restaurant, she goes through the case files. One of them talks about missing children in Germany, and the other about attacks against children from the same country. After checking for a while, Paula comes across a case where the body of a teenage girl had been found with punishment marks. She takes a closer look at the pictures of the crime scene and notices the same paper designs that Clara used to make for her. Convinced that she might find a lead, Paula goes to meet with the doctor who had performed the autopsy report of the murdered teenage girl. The latter reveals that the girl had a damaged set of kidneys and also a lazy eye, meaning that one of her eyes was weaker than the other. Alarmed, Paula once again goes through the file of missing children's reports and finally finds her big lead. Among the cases, there is a victim, a young German girl named Ingrid, with a patch on one of her eyes, probably due to a lazy eye. Or maybe her dad was a pirate. She had been kidnapped from a beach around 10 years ago. Yep, pirate. And had never been found since. Next, Paula scours the internet and finds a German article and a video of Ingrid's parents talking about her after she was missing for a year. In the video, Ingrid's parents mention how she used to craft those trinkets, give them to her loved ones, and call them guardian angels. When Paula returns home with all this information, she gives one of Clara's drawings another look while sitting where the girl used to sit. She looks around and finds that the drawing points to her Eduardo, who lives in the house across from their home. After thinking for a bit, it finally dawns on Paula that Eduardo has something to do with Clara's disappearance. Hence, she immediately contacts the police before heading out herself to inspect. The scene then goes into flashback to the night Clara was found on the road. Eduardo was traveling in his car with Clara when he noticed a police check going on near their house. Scared, he released the little girl and instructed her to keep walking straight on the road, planning to catch up with her later. However, the girl met Paula and her husband before that and was rescued. Later, Eduardo learned about the news and became devastated. One time during dinner at Paula's house, Eduardo had excused himself from the gathering and managed to mix some shards of glass inside a jam jar, hoping to kill Clara, for he feared she might give away his horrid crimes. In another instance, he sneaked into the house, stole Paula's phone, and called her landline from it. He then returned it back so as not not to arouse any suspicion. The plan was to make Paula look like a lunatic. However, when nothing worked, he once again broke into the house and abducted Clara. This guy's plans are freaking weird. Back in the present, Paula decides to rescue the little girl herself. However, by the time she visits Eduardo's house, the man has already guessed that she knows about his crimes. He attacks her with a hammer, incapacitating her. He then drags her down to the basement, where Clara is kept restricted inside a chalk-drawn boundary, and chains Paula to a pole. Following this, we get to know the exact story of what happened. Eduardo kidnapped Ingrid years ago and impregnated her with Clara before she was beaten to death. This confirms the German girl is actually Clara's mother. The little girl was kept growing up in captivity, and it was Eduardo who had trained her to remain confined inside lines of chalk by punishing her regularly. Meanwhile, based on Paula's earlier call to the police, 2 officers arrive at Eduardo's door, but the hopscotch killer manages to drive them away with some lies. Then, he returns back to Paula and beats her up, asking how she knew about his secret. The latter reveals about the case files she stole earlier, and also mentions that they are in her car. Hearing this, Eduardo immediately heads out, adamant on destroying the files so that his true identity remains a mystery. After he leaves, Paula tries to get help from Clara. She throws the girl a few pieces of chalk that she had with her, and instructs Clara to draw her own path towards the door of the basement. The little girl obliges, and slowly, she starts moving out of the place. Hopscotch Daddy returns after some time, and instantly notices the girl is missing. After he shouts around looking for her, Clara slips out of the basement and locks its door from outside. She then reaches the main door, but hesitates to step out, as she cannot draw on the ground outside. Just then, she notices Simon and shouts for help, but he is too busy calling the police as his partner has gone missing. Hence, with no options left, Clara slowly steps out of the chalk line and out of the house. By this time, Eduardo's wife, Maita, has also arrived. At first, she acts politely and asks if Clara is lost, but after a while, she changes her stance and forcefully drags Clara back into the house. We learn that Maita herself is always dominated by her controlling husband, and she now uses this opportunity to take the upper hand over Eduardo. Promising to keep the basement and the 2 captives inside it a secret from the world, Maita demands he let her do whatever she wants. Eduardo agrees, and the 2 sit down for breakfast. But their agreement is short-lived, as the police force barges into the house and arrests them. It turns out that when Maita was pulling Clara inside the house, the girl had left chalky prints of her hands on the main door. And when the police investigated the matter, they quickly realized that something was up in Hop Daddy's house. The couple is arrested, and the 2 captives are rescued as well. In the last scene, Clara, who is now living with her grandparents in Germany, is seen video chatting with Paula. She has finally started living a normal life. On the other hand, Paula is revealed to be pregnant with her first child. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.